Let's do it.
Yeah, I just want to mainly just why do you support Ashley Nelson?
I support Ashley Nelson because I believe that she's the best candidate for the job. You know, that she cares about the community. She has roots in this community. She's raising her family here. And she believes in bringing everybody together to make justice happen. You know, with her accountability, with fairness of everyone before the court, and looking at some of the root causes of why in community crime happens and why we have to bring justice from a whole community perspective forward.
The root causes of crime. What do you think the most important root causes of crime?
I think we can support better the people who are doing the work in community that give people options. You know, people who work in mental health, people who work with young people and elders, people who work with housing, people who work with economics. You know, sometimes crime is an action of last resort. You know, and when we work in community together better, especially with voices like Ashley's, you know, that gives people a fair chance to make what might be better decisions for them and their families. You know.
Yeah. And what do you think distinguishes Ashley from her opponents?
I think Ashley is a strong candidate because she is living and breathing the work that she's doing. She's meeting with local stakeholders and listening first and saying, what can the courts do to listen better? How can we be partners together? You know, and I think that is a big piece of what we need to do. It's not imagine what our community needs, but just like we're doing over here, listen to our community first. And I think Ashley's really able to do that.
What was your name?
My name's David.
David? Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah.
Thank you.
I love your little plug.
You think you think she'll get up and speak?
So we're going to do it 5:30 because it goes till 6.
5:30. Okay.
We're going to give it time for a few more people to be here. I'm going to get up and introduce her.
All right.
And then she'll going to go. I told her to just keep it 5-ish, 5 minutes or less.
All right.
So the thing is there's all these ethical rules, right? So the candidate can't know who's donating money, and she can't ask for money because it's a judge. Yeah. And so I can.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
all right.
So I can say donate, I can say volunteer, but we don't want someone to feel like, you know, if they were if she knew that someone had donated, if she knew that someone had done that, she would have to recuse herself as judge if they were ever before the court.
Yeah, makes sense.
So we're just going to follow all the rules.
Yeah, that's good.
So you're doing this freelance, or you're doing it with the Taos?
I'm independent.
That's cool, man. Thank you for doing this.
I have 3 people watching right now.
How many? Oh, you're live streaming?
Yeah, I'm live streaming right now. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Someone from Red River, someone from San Miguel County, someone from Taos.
Yeah, I mean, she went and met with folks at the hospital, right? And she can't say how a case is going to turn out. But what she can say is, if like we've had a problem at the hospital with people hitting nurses and medical staff, right? So she can say, absolutely, we can give direction to take these cases seriously and to give direction to the district attorney's office to say, bring these cases forward, I will hear them, you know? So people don't feel like when they're subject to these things that it's worthless to press charges against people, you know? And so we're losing good medical professionals in our hospitals and in our clinics because they don't feel safe, you know? The courts are a part of that process. You know, like, and people talk about, like, Nest and Dreamtree. So she went and met with Nest and Dreamtree, and she talked to them and said, what can we know better about the homeless, the unhoused population, people who are suffering with a lot of the things that correlate with those populations, like drug misuse and stuff like that. And they gave her a lot of information. And again, she can't promise outcomes. But what she can do is say, if we listen to these resources, you know, and maybe she can partner with the people doing the work and so that when she hands down a sentence to someone, it's not punitive only, right? It's regenerative, it's restorative, like you had said. And so it's maybe you need some mental health support. Maybe you need a place to live. Maybe you need food. Like, how many people just need nutrition? You know, and so maybe we need to look at making someone responsible for their choices and actions, sure, but also giving them the support to not have to make that choice again.
I also think a lot of people are hesitant to report crimes when they happen to them. Like, why do you think people wouldn't report a crime?
Well, because it's a small town, right? So you're going to see that person at the grocery store. You're going to see that person in community. And so, to some extent, there's benefits to that, so people speak truthfully. And on the other hand, people are often afraid, because especially if someone's part of, also part of the community or also part of a family, they feel like, well, now I haven't just reported this person for a crime, I've reported, maybe a lot of people might be frustrated with it. And again, that's where that fairness and accountability matters. No matter what someone's story is, no matter if they've lived here for 5 minutes or 500 years, they get the same shake in front of the court. And especially when it's magistrate court, it's that's the one that if anybody's going to talk to the court of their life, that's one you could go to just for a traffic violation. A lot of people are going to interact with the courts at some point in their life because that's the people's court. The district court, the Supreme Court, other courts, those are different. But a magistrate court, it's not. You wouldn't have to be committing a serious a felony type crime to end up getting to talk to a magistrate judge. And on that day, sure, you might want to be held responsible, but also you want to be listened to. You'd want the punishment to fit the crime. You wouldn't want to feel judged. On the other hand, what about our first responders? People responding to crimes like law enforcement, and they feel like it's sort of catch and release. Again, can't promise an outcome, but can say, do your police work, and you'll be met with a court that takes your police work seriously. And everyone's going to get a fair shake, including the people who are, arresting people and so on. So that some of our law enforcement people feel pretty frustrated. And the goal is not to have someone who's going to say, I'm going to give you everything that you want if you vote for me. That's not fair. That's not true. What they can say is, I can make sure that you're heard and that you're treated equitably, and that's really going to happen. And we're going to back you up by looking at who else in the community can make it less likely that you have to be arresting people. And that's what I think Ashley's going to do.
Making the cops' jobs easier.
What's that?
Making the cops' jobs easier?
I think that, yeah, in some ways, there's not enough of them, and they work a lot, and it's a pretty hard job. Imagine if you only ever saw someone on their worst day.
Right.
Imagine, especially if you saw someone on their worst day and they were in trouble, or someone around them was in trouble. They see some of the most challenging things in the community. And I'm saying this as someone who's worked with law enforcement.
That's a good way to put it. If you have to interact with law enforcement, you're probably having the worst day of your life.
Right. And that's just their everyday, And so the one thing we can do for them is make it feel like it's worth it to do that for us. Because, it's a crazy act. Go to work in a place where you might get hurt at work, where people are going to often be mad at you, in a county that's 2,000 square miles big. With some nights in Taos, there's only 2 or 3 sheriffs, 2 or 3 Taos police officers, and 1 or 2 state police officers. In 2,000 square miles. You could have a person in Knoxville and somewhere else, in different corners of this county, and that's everything. And so how do we make them feel like their work matters and these sorts of things happen? On the other hand, again, back and forth, like the scales of justice, right? What about our massive undocumented population? What about people who are economically disadvantaged, functional access needs people? All sorts of people who already are having a bad day before they have something happen with crime or something happens where they get issues in the court system. Again, that's where someone who's going to treat people fairly and try to support the organizations that keep those things from happening, that's where we need somebody like that. And someone who's already been working there, right? Knowing about the law and having a law degree are not the same thing. And so someone doesn't necessarily need a law degree to be successful as a leader in the court. Because let's remember that the courts are also an organization. It's a place. People work there. And so someone's got to be a leader of all those people. And Ashley was the court manager for years. And so she's ready to go on day one. And she's also already been held to a standard, a personal, professional standard of having to make sure the law was taking place for every single person as the court manager.
I hope you don't mean to insult lawyers who...
Absolutely not.
We have a lawyer watching.
It's yes and, right? Of course, we're excited that we have people in our community who are lawyers. And they definitely have an experience with the law, but it isn't the only way to have that experience. There's also a great opportunity to have worked in the courts, to have access to things like JSTOR and LexisNexis and the tools we use to research law. That's where every lawyer has a law library. They don't memorize it all. They have a faculty and understand certain proficiencies, and they're good learners. They're researchers. Lots of other people can have that skill set too. But the ability to manage the court itself, the ability to make sure justice is done, the leverage things in community, that is not necessarily just the purview of some of our lawyer friends, right? I think Ashley, for example, is a great person who could be a leader in a lot of those.
Oh, all right.
Anyways, I'm just going on and on.
Yeah, you're fine.
It's yes and, right? There's lots of ways to become able to be serving in your community. And Ashley checks every box.
Would she be able to do stuff like this as a judge if she's elected? If she's elected, that is.
Stuff like this,
like community outreach, like talking to people, or does she have to be more secretive? Does she have to go like?
I think there's a line that you can walk. Right? You can talk about justice. You just can't promise a this for that, right? And also, we actually don't need to say anything positive or negative about the other candidates, right? Because they have an equal seat at the table in participating in this election. And
I'd say that's the preference, right? Don't talk bad about it.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this is an essential service enshrined in our Constitution, right? That we're held equal under the law, and we can't make people feel alien from that. So, she's held to, judges in general would be held to a very, very high standard. And so she's allowed to talk about vision. She's allowed to talk about justice and fairness and accountability and equality and community-centered action. She just can't say, "I think this person should win," or "I think that I don't like this. I don't like this law," or "I do think that this law, whatever." Right? Like, she has to do the job.
Well, she should be. People should be able. She's able to give an opinion on laws, right? Her own opinion. That doesn't mean she's not.
Yes, I think everyone's got their First Amendment rights. But in terms of, especially when you're campaigning for a job as a leader on fairness, I think to err on the side of being careful with that is not a crazy thing to do. I think you kind of balance that on.
It's good to be cautious.
Yeah. And I think you're seeing that. I think you're seeing that in this election from a number of candidates where they're speaking to core values, and the hope of what we could accomplish sort of broadly within justice and community, which is why a lot of judges' races are the same. If you were to look at every judge campaign going on in the country this year, right, we're pretty much all saying very similar things because who's anti-justice, right? What Ashley's saying is different is the way we get there is through community.
Well, I'd say that the role of a judge is a lot more limited than like a senator or representative, right? Those kind of like elected officials make laws.
Right, and they're also
Judges,
partisan, right? Like, yes, there are Democrats and Republicans running in the primary, but it's not a partisan election after that. Right, and you're actually not allowed to have things that say like Democrat or partisan stuff in the general election. And so, for example, if there was a Republican running in the Republican primary and then they ran against each other, they're both independents under the eyes of the election at that point, right? So that's kind of a weird thing that they have to accomplish somehow, right?
How would you try and like convince people that the people who like only vote for the big offices like senator, president, representative? How would you try to convince people to vote for more local offices?
Well, first of all, you're in there and you got the marker and you're in the booth, so you might as well fill out the whole thing, right? I like doing the whole job. But honestly, the truth is that some of these local choices, some of these local leaders have the most impact on us, right? A lot of people have opinions on some of these higher visibility national and statewide candidates. We've also got a governor's race, and we've also got congressional races this year. And absolutely, people should express their opinions in there. But what is the thing that's going to affect your local community the fastest? Your county commission race. We just had a mayor and city council race earlier. Elected officials like judges. People who are so immediately responsible to the people who elected them. And the people that are within arm's reach so we can see their actions. Like when we have senators in Washington, we have a sense of what they stand for, but unless you're looking at election records and stuff, it's hard to really know what they're actually doing in a meaningful way and how that gets down to me. Local, on the other hand, we can see people who are feeling treated fairly under the law. We can see our mayor doing things that may make our community better, or our county commissioners helping bridge the county-town divide. Those are all things that those candidates have the ability to do that we can see every day. Or our school board officials. We're seeing nationally that school boards have the incredible ability to set a tone for things that kids are reading, to set the tone for how teachers feel compensated and safe. We're losing, all of these things, right? local. Local is where real change begins.
What do you mean by like town-county divide?
Town-county divide. So to some extent, I think if you've lived here for a while, it's easy to see that there are some places at the leadership level, at the political level, where there's dissonance between what the municipalities and the county might want to achieve. Although, frankly, I think there is a lot of healing going on, you know. But for example, there's the fire service on the county side versus the town of Taos Fire Department, right? Wonderful people on each side, and when there's something burning, there's no dissonance there. But at the leadership level, right, at the political level, when we're competing over resources and tax money, you know, all of a sudden sometimes there's some challenges that can create resentment. You know, I don't know if the public is feeling the difference because people aren't messing around with people's safety. But the way it feels to be a first responder in community is challenged by sometimes leaders, you know, fighting or competing with each other for whatever that reason is, you know. So some of our leaders are able to kind of bridge that and fix some of that stuff. We've seen that on a lot of our recent challenges that have happened in community. You know, some of the bigger events that have happened with some of those events on the plaza. You know, I bet we're going to see a lot of cooperation for wildfire season, things like that. People have the ability to overcome it. But anyways, we were talking about local. Right? Local leaders are the ones who set the tone for how these things play out. Right? And for a lot of people, when there's already challenges economically, socially, culturally, as a human being, right? If we don't bridge some of these divides before whatever bad day happens, then it's going to be the bad day plus all of that and some. You know, and so that's what we're hoping our local leaders will do, is make it resilient here by fixing and excavating some of the problems before the next thing happens, whether it's interacting with the courts or whether we see fire on the mountain or whatever that thing might be, you know? I don't know. Just talking.
Yeah, it's fine. It's my job. Just keep talking.
Good. Thank you, brother.
It's too bad that I love it all the wrong time. In my life, always on the road.
I hope the audio is good. Sounds good.
Got no time. Settle down, that's just the way it is. Settle down, no way, no. Listen, I really live the love I like. Never so sweet. Don't see the change. Either over now, you just the same. Good dreams, yeah. Good dreams, yeah. Good dreams, yeah. Talk. I can reason about that. Why is part of me so dead? I don't think my dad said no.
This is a beautiful view from KTAOS. Didn't realize there was a volleyball court here. What do you all think so far? Still got like 10 minutes before Ashley makes her announcements.
See you, Charles. I used to play this song with my dad, the Richters. He always told me to learn a country song, but he never said what country it had to be from. So I play this one. No one in your life. 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 Said I remember when we used to sing. And we're gonna return. Turns out, well, I'm coming down. There will be no baby. Yes, it will. You were good on the morning. Yeah, it's I said, no. Yeah, my baby is my only theory. So I've got to push on it. They never said, no woman, no time. No woman, no time. No woman, no time. No woman, no time. Said I remember when we used to sing in the government church. Church house. And then Georgie would make the firelight that was burning through the night. Goodness be done, and goodness be lost. The Lord, in the government church, get the kitchen face. So now you're tears, I said, walk away, yeah. You were good on the morning, yeah. We just said, yeah, my feet is my only theory. So I got to push on through, and I'm gonna say, everything's gonna be alright. 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 Everything's gonna be alright.
Alrighty, everybody, thanks for coming. Thanks for coming to Ashley's campaign event tonight. Ashley Nelson for Magistrate Judge. Voting starts May 5th. We're excited to have everyone here learning more about Ashley and her campaign in the community for fairness, accountability, community justice. We're excited to have people going to her website and learning more about her, and looking at the things that she's written and the videos she's recorded on social media as well with more information. People are asking great questions like, why should Ashley be a judge? And she's happy to answer that question with experience as a court manager, with work in community, by talking to people and listening first so she can help shepherd justice in the right way. So everyone, let's give a big round of applause to Ashley, and she's going to tell us some more about why she's the right candidate for Magistrate Judge.
This is a little. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you all so much for being here. It means so much to me to have everybody. Thank you to Rye for playing. You're amazing. So I always like to start out by saying and letting everybody know that I've been having conversations in our community with small business owners, citizens in our community, leaders in Taos County, and we're all kind of feeling the same way, which is we are feeling like we're losing a little bit of faith in the justice system. And I feel the same way. And so my thought and my process in this campaign so far has been to develop 3 core pillars that I like to speak about. And those are the things that I believe are going to shift Taos County so that we are getting our faith in the justice system restored. So number 1 is accountability. Number 2 is fairness. And number 3 is a whole systems approach to justice. So when I say accountability, to me, that means that if somebody's violating a crime, we're holding that person accountable. We all need to feel safe. Victims need to feel heard when they're reporting crimes. And our law enforcement partners also need to feel validated in their hard work. Number 2, fairness. So when I worked as the court manager, I was the court manager for the magistrate court and the district court. And the number 1 concept that we always instill in all of our employees is the court is a neutral party. So everybody who comes before the court is treated fairly and equally. And we're just the neutral third party to cases. So fairness means everybody's getting an equal shot before the court. And then finally, our whole systems approach to justice is incorporating basically what New Mexico had intended for the magistrate court is being rooted in our community. So we're approaching justice with making connections with entities in the community that we feel like can help individuals who are maybe lacking in resources. So just as an example, during my time as court manager, what I saw was time and time again, we would have repeat offenders come before the court. So people would break the law, get put in jail, get released, and then come back before the court. And so it was this never-ending cycle. And to me, that signifies a place where we can be better, we can do better, we can fill a hole. And so my goal is for the bench to fill those needs for those individuals who come before the court and connect them with existing organizations in our community, such as mental health providers or substance abuse treatment centers. And making those connections and really bringing in all of the existing organizations in the community and working together. Because I do not think that we are as strong as if we were all working together towards a common goal. So that's basically it. Those are my three pillars. I referenced the goal of New Mexico for the magistrate court, and that's why, I like to tell everybody they don't require their magistrate judges to have law degrees, because the magistrate courts are the community courts. And that's something with my experience and my outlook for the bench that I would like to put together and see going forward for Taos County. So that way we can all feel good and safe and feel like we're all moving in the right direction.
Again, thanks to everybody for coming. We really need people. Hundreds and hundreds of people in Taos County have already signed up on the website for more information. People have signed up to volunteer. People have donated to the campaign, which helps us get this message of restorative justice out there. And we need everybody who's willing to participate in whatever way makes the most sense to them. We're knocking on doors. We're calling people. We're helping people get to the polls. And mostly we're telling people about this community vision that Ashley is supporting that brings justice more accessibly to all of us. So thanks again to Ashley for being here. Thank you for supporting her. And please feel free to hit up the table for stickers and to sign up and good stuff over there as well. Thank you, everyone.